笑你。
知道我是台剧的主持人，但是告诉你一个问题，把我拿出去。
That day, the atmosphere was rather relaxed on the set. The afternoon air carried the scent of coffee from the corner of the crew tent, and most of the players were enjoying their break time. I, who served as one of the documentation staff on the production team, was setting up the camera for a short behind-the-scenes session. Everything seemed normal, until Bai Lu suddenly decided to take over my job. "May I hold the camera for a moment?" he asked with his characteristic playful smile. His tone was light, but his eyes were full of curiosity. I hesitated for a moment, but before I could answer, he took the camera out of my hand. "Take it easy, I won't break anything," he said, patting me on the shoulder. "I just want to welcome Dylan in a different way." I can only nod slowly. In my heart, I had prepared myself to hold back the laughter, because if Bai Lu had started to create, it usually resulted in a mixture of silly and funny. A few minutes later, word came that Dylan Wang was coming to the scene. He had just returned from a promotional interview session, and of course, as always, his arrival was always greeted with a bit of a splash from the crew and other players. But this time, something was different, because Bai Lu was already gearing up in position with the camera in hand. Already, he acted like a professional director. Cameras rolling, but Bai Lu's version. I stood nearby, trying to hold back a smile as I watched him seriously adjust the angle. He squinted, lowered his body a little, then said quietly, "The angle has to be good. I want to capture Dylan's first steps like in a documentary." And sure enough, as soon as Dylan emerged from the production van, Bai Lu instantly highlighted him in a style that was hard to explain. He looked down, back and forth, even had a little spin like he was participating in a campus-level videography competition. "Bai Lu, what are you doing?" Dylan asked from a distance in a confused but amused tone. "Documentation, Wang He Dai. This is a personal project. The title is The Actor Returns to the Set," she replied loudly. All the crew who heard that immediately laughed. Dylan could only raise an eyebrow, then approached with a smile. Once the distance was close enough, Bai Lu began to conduct an impromptu interview. "Can you tell me how it feels to be back on set after a day of promotion?" he asked in reporter style, complete with a pose leaning the camera towards Dylan's face. Dylan held back a laugh. "My feelings? It's like going back to a crowded but noisy house." "Noisy?" exclaimed Bai Lu, pretending to be angry, lowering his camera for a moment. "You mean because I'm here?" "Well, it could be," Dylan replied casually with an ignorant smile. I almost dropped the clipboard for stifling laughter. Their interaction is like watching an unplanned mini-comedy drama. "Cut, repeat the answer," Bai Lu said with a serious, pretentious expression. "Your answer should be more romantic, so that fans believe that you are a real romantic drama actor." "Well then, I repeat," Dylan said flatly. "My feeling back on set was happy, being welcomed by a very talented cameraman." Everyone around immediately a little cheer. Bai Lu blushed, but still pretended to be calm. Answer accepted, but I have to check the angle first," he said while looking at the recording. He looked at the screen seriously, then muttered, "Well, why do my hands shake anyway? I should have brought a tripod." I finally couldn't take it anymore and joined the conversation. "Maybe it's because you're too excited, Bai Lu." He looked at me quickly, then laughed. "Or because the subject is too handsome, huh?" he said spontaneously. Dylan, who heard it, could only shake his head with a shy smile. "Then don't blame the subject, blame the camera," he replied softly. That afternoon, the atmosphere of the location became lighter than usual. The rest of the crew laughed along, some even recording the moment on a cell phone. Bai Lu seemed to enjoy her role, although the result of the video might be more suitable to be called a comedy vlog than a documentary. "Dylan, you're walking slowly towards me again. I want to take a cinematic version of the footage," he said, taking a few steps back. Dylan complied, but with deliberate steps like a runway model. Like this, he asked. Less expressive, more mysterious, Bai Lu said in the style of a professional director. Dylan lowered his head, adjusted his facial expression, then walked again in cool guy style. But unfortunately, in the next second, Bai Lu actually coughed a little because of holding back laughter, and the camera swayed violently. "Oh, the cinematic failure," he complained with a laugh. "You shouldn't be so funny if you're pretending to be so cool." "Lo, I'm serious," Dylan protests. "You seriously look like you're training to be a cat model," Bai Lu chirped. That sentence instantly made everyone around burst out laughing. As a person who watched at close range, I could really feel how natural and fun their interaction was. No script, no settings, everything just flows. Even after the camera was returned to me, Bai Lu still continued to chatter about the footage. "You will have to edit the video. Yes, but love dramatic music," he said. "Dramatic music?" I asked, surprised. "Yeah, like a movie trailer. So if Dylan comes again, it looks really cool." Dylan, who was still nearby, could only chime in. "Or it looks like a parody movie." "No, I'm serious," Bai Lu replied while patting herself on the chest. "I have an artistic vision." I nodded my head in disbelief, even though I knew the video would probably be more of a scene of camera shake and laughter than a dramatic moment. A few hours later, when the break was over, Bai Lu still had time to show footage of the results of his work to the other crew. All laughed heartily at his exaggerated zoom style and wobbly transitions that seemed deliberate. "Look at this," he said as he turned the part when Dylan got out of the car. "The angle is a bit skewed, but it gives the impression of artsy, right?" The lighting crew chimed in. "It's artsy, but it's also a bit of a headache." You don't understand aesthetics," Bai Lu replied casually. Dylan ended up watching as well, and his reaction was exactly as one would expect, laughing his head off. "Bai Lu, you should be a YouTuber, not an actress," she said, holding her breath as she laughed too much. "If I were a YouTuber, would you be the guest star?" asked Bai Lu quickly. "If you promise not to shake the camera, you can," Dylan replied. When night fell, the atmosphere in the location began to calm down again. The crew prepared the equipment for the shooting of the night scene, and Bai Lu had already returned to her role as a professional actress. But somehow, every time he and Dylan crossed paths, there was always a little smile that appeared. Maybe they still remember the documentary project this afternoon. Before filming began, Bai Lu briefly approached me again. "You saved the video," he said quietly. "Sure, want me to send it to you later?" He nodded, then added, "Don't delete it. Who knows, I'll make a behind-the-scenes video." I smiled a little. "Professional version or funny version?" "Bai Lu's version," he replied casually. "So both of them." Of all the moments on the set that day, perhaps it was the simple events that warmed the atmosphere the most. It wasn't because of anything big, but because of the way Bai Lu made everyone laugh without the need for excessive effort. He has his own way of bringing positive energy even through trivial actions, such as being an impromptu cameraman. Dylan seemed more relaxed afterwards. He made a few small jokes with the crew and even thanked Bai Lu for making his welcome so unusual. "If every time I come to be greeted like this, I will never be late," he said half-jokingly. "Good. I'll get my camera tomorrow," he said quickly. As someone who's seen it all up close, I can tell you one thing. Sometimes the atmosphere on set can be tense because of a busy schedule or a heavy scene. But if there is someone like Bai Lu, who knows how to balance professionalism and humor, everything becomes light. And Dylan, in his own relaxed and responsive way, is the perfect match for that energy. When it was finally late at night and all the crew were getting ready to go home, I saw the two of them walking side by side towards the parking area. No cameras, no highlights, just two people lightly joking with each other after a hard day's work. "Do you really want to hold the camera again?" Dylan asked slowly. "Yes, of course," Bai Lu replied in a steady tone. "This time I want to take footage from a low angle. He said it makes the subject look taller." Dylan laughed a little. "Are you trying to make me look better on camera?" "No, I want to look like a professional," he replied quickly, then smiled. And that's where I learned that sometimes those simple moments, laughing in the middle of the action, flirting with each other without a script, are the most precious. An ordinary afternoon turned into a funny memory that they will probably remember long after filming ends.